During review, who remembers how to factor from integrated to? Anybody? All right, well, that's what we're about to do again. So remember the first step to factor. Anybody remember what the first step is?
A plus C.
No, I heard somebody say look for. Yep, look for greatest common factor. You always start by doing that, and then you do the A times C. That's so important. You always want to start by looking for a greatest common factor. And now what we're going to do is we're going to find two numbers. The key is that it has to multiply to what's on top and add to what is on the bottom. So you don't have to say it out loud. But the key is trying to figure out, I focus on the top first. So I know that if I'm trying to get 9, I can only multiply 1 times 9 or 3 times 3. But which one of those pairs would add to be 6? 3 times 3. And in order for me to get a positive on the top, they would both have to be negative. So that would be my numbers, -3 and -3. In order to get 4, the only thing I can multiply would be 1 times 4 or 2 times 2. Which one of those pairs would add to be 4? 2 times 2. So that would be my two numbers, both positive. Now, whenever we get a number that's negative at the top, that's where it gets a little tricky, okay? Because that means, one thing I know is that one number has to be negative. So one of my numbers has to be negative. And instead of looking for it to add, I'm really looking to see what subtracts. Like I'm looking for two numbers that have a difference of 13. All right, so what multiplies to give me 30? We got a lot of options. We got 1 times 30. We have 2 times 15. We have 3 times 10. And we have 5 times 6. So if this was a positive 30, then I would use 3 and 10. But this is a negative 30. So I have to use 15 and 2. Because 15 and 2, if you take 15 minus 2, you get 13. So whatever you have down here, whatever the sign is of this number, the bigger number is going to have that sign. So because the 13 is negative, the 15 will also be negative. That would be my pair. All right, 84, that's a big one. I'm going to need y'all help for 84. Go ahead and look at your charts if you need to. We need two numbers that multiply to 84. Again, one of them is going to be negative. So if you need to look at that pink multiplication chart, it is one second. It is double-sided. One side is 25 by 25 and the other side is 20 by 20. Or 30 by 30. 30 by 30. Carmela, what'd you say?
Is it 14 and 6?
It was 14 times 6, y'all. Pick up your calculator. No, I don't think it's not 14 and 6. No. Because 14 and 6 won't give you 84 and it won't subtract to be 5. So it's not 14 and 6. So looking at your multiplication chart, where do you see an 84? Aiden. What'd you come up with? 12 and negative 7. Let's see if he's right. Go ahead with your calculator. When you multiply 12 and negative 7, do you get negative 84? All right. And then when you add them, we get the positive 5. Good job. All right, 24. So to get 24, I could do 1 times 24. I could do 2 times 12. I could do 3 times 8. Or I could do 4 times 6. So I'm really looking for the difference. So when I subtract 24 minus 1, I get 23. So that's too big. 12 minus 2 is 10. That's too big. But 8 minus 3 is 5, so that's going to work. So I have a 3 and an 8. The bigger number will be negative, so that means the 8 is negative. And that would be my answer. All right, lastly, 6. We can do 1 times 6, or we can do 2 times 3. When I add 1 and 6, I get 7, so it can't be that. But 2 and 3 add to give you 5. And what do I know about the signs of both of those numbers? They have to both be negative. All right, I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to try to do the bottom row by yourself. That's actually pretty good. So what would be my numbers? They multiply to give you negative 15, but add to a negative 14. Negative. Both negative? Are they both going to be negative? If you multiply two negatives, you get a positive. So they both can't be negative. Only one of the numbers is negative. So which one is negative, the 1 or the 15? The 15 is the bigger number. For 75, is some, hello? Oh, okay. I'm like, how long is it going to take to turn that off? All right, negative 75. What multiplies to give you negative 75? 15 and negative 5. We keep getting our signs wrong, though. Is it 15 and negative 5 or negative 15 and positive 5? Yeah, the 15 has to be negative. So if this number is negative, the bigger number will be negative. All right, lastly, multiply to 12 and add to 7. So that's easy, both positive. Who wants to give me those numbers? What'd you say, Xavier? 4 and 3. All right, any questions? Let's flip it over. Now let's start factoring. So again, we always start by looking for GCF. That is so important. That's the first step. Now, if you had me last year, I taught you a shortcut. And the shortcut is, if A is equal to 1, then you don't have to make a box. Okay, so if you had me last year, which I only think I had one of y'all, we already know this. So when I'm looking here, this has a 1. When I make my X, at the top of the X, we have A times C, and at the bottom, we have a B. So 1 times negative 50 is negative 50, and B is 5. So don't say it out loud, but see if you can find two numbers that will multiply to give you negative 50, but add to give you a positive 5. So when you know the numbers, just give me a thumbs up. I'm not going to call on you. I just want to see who has the numbers. Got one person, 2 people, 3, 4. Five, 6. All right, what's my numbers? Negative 5 and 10. So because A is 1, we're just going to go right to our parentheses. Put a minus 5 and a plus 10. We don't need to make a box. Whatever our numbers are, that's our factors. All right. Number 2 does not have a GCF. So when I make my X, at the top I have negative 90, and on the bottom I have a 1. So we need two numbers that would multiply to give you negative 90. But add to a positive 1. And that would be 10 and negative 9. So I'm going to put a plus 10 and a minus 9. And that would be my factors. All right. Number 3 is the first one that has a GCF. 3 is the first one that actually has a greatest common factor. So we're going to divide out the GCF, which would be what? 2. Good. So let's divide everything by 2. So when I take out that 2, 2 goes in the front. And I have x squared minus 8x plus 15. So now my A value is 1, so I could do a shortcut. So if I take 1 times 15, I get 15. Negative 8 is at the bottom. So I have my 2 on the outside. I have my 2 parentheses. So go ahead, take a moment. See if you can figure out two numbers that would multiply to be positive 15. So that tells me that both numbers are negative. And add to give you negative 8. Anybody know the numbers? They multiply to 15, add to a negative 8. Nakeem, you got any ideas what numbers you would use? Negative 5 and negative 3. So I'm going to put a -5 and a -3, and that would be my answer. Don't forget the 2, though. That 2 has to stay. All right, so now let's talk about ones that you can't do a shortcut with. So we're going to do 4 and 6 next. So let's look at number 4. We'll come back to 5. So number 4, A is not 1, and I don't have a GCF. So I want you to start by making a box. So I'm going to put my 2K squared here, and the -5 will go here. And if you know a different way from your old school Linnea, you can use that other way. Okay, so now when I make an X, on top of the X, I have 2 times -5, which is a -10. And then 3 is at the bottom. So don't say it out loud. Give everybody a chance to think. We need 2 numbers that multiply to be -10, add to +3. Sorry, y'all. I was a little late for back to school day, so I'm a little sleepy. Okay. 2 numbers. They multiply to give you a -10, but add to a +3. -2, +5. Good job. It doesn't matter what order. So in one square, I'm going to put a -2K. And in the other square, I'm going to put a 5K. It does not matter how you arrange those 2 green squares. They can flip. All right, so now I'm going to look row by row. So let's look at this top row. What do they both have that I can take out? They both have a 2, and they also both have a K. So I could take out a 2 and a K. So if I were to factor this down to really small, this has 2KK, and this one has a 2 and a K. That's what that means. So when I take it out, taking it out, because they both have it. The bottom row, this one has a 5 and a K, and this one has a 5. What do they both have? A 5. So let's take out the 5. And because it's touching a positive, it's going to stay positive. So this goes away. All right, this first column, see how, what do I have left in both of them that I didn't take out? They both have a K. So that goes on the top. And then there is nothing left, but the one number that's in every box is a 1. So I'm going to put a -1. All right, so my factors would be 2K plus 5 and K minus 1. All right, we're going to jump down to 6. We'll come back to 5. 6, just like number 4, we don't have a GCF. So we're going to go straight to our box because A is not 1. So I got my 2V squared here and my -15 here. On top of the X, I have 2 times -15, which is -30. On the bottom, I just have, there's an invisible 1 right here. So don't say it out loud, but we need 2 numbers. When you multiply them, you get -30. And when you add them, you get a +1. Bearcat, do you know the numbers? What numbers would it be? They multiply to give you -30. Add to a +1. Narek. Jada, negative 5, 6. All right, so now we're going to take out what we can. So these two squares, the only thing that they have in common is a V. There isn't anything else that I can take out of both. All right, this bottom row, well, not 2, because 2 doesn't go into 15.
At the top, I go 1.
Oh, I go, okay, well, I'm gonna come back. We in different areas, so. I'm down here. This is where I am. What can I take out of these two? A 1? Who said 1? Anything bigger?
3.
3. Yeah, everybody look in your multiplication chart. Look in the 3s. If you look in the 3s, you'll see there's a 6 and a 15. So that means that 6 and 15 both share a factor of 3. So I'm going to take out a 3. And because it's closest to a positive 6, that 3 is positive. All right, so now where you were, Tristan. So this first column, I could take out a 2 and I could take out a V. What about the second column, 5 and 15? What goes into 5 and 15?
-1.
Well, 1, but there's something bigger. -5, because you can divide them both by -5. So when you use this method to factor, though, you can check yourself. So like if you multiply these two, do you see how we get the 2V squared? And then if I take -5 times positive V, positive V, I get a -5V. And then these two come together to give you a positive 6, sorry. And then these two come together to give you a -15. So your factors would be 2V minus 5 and V plus 3. All right, so now let's look at the 3 we have left over. Now, whenever you have only 2 terms, sometimes it's a pattern called the difference of squares, and sometimes all we can do is take out the GCF. So let's go backwards to number 5. If you look in the front of the room, does everyone see those pink numbers? Those are up there because they're called perfect squares. Those are the numbers that we'll use for this special pattern. 7 and 5, they're not up there. They're not perfect squares. So the only thing I can do is take out GCF. That's all I can do. Nothing else can happen. So when you're looking at 7x squared, that means I have 7xx minus 5x. So what do they both have that I can take out? An x. So when that x comes out, I have a 7x minus 5 left on the inside. All right, last two. All right, 7 does not have a GCF, but if everyone looks in the front, do you see how 4 and 9 are both in the front? They're called perfect squares. So these two, these last two, these are actually called the difference of squares. And when you see that a squared minus b squared, it has to be minus. It just factors down to a plus b and a minus b. Now, this is after you start off by looking for the GCF, though. So 4 and 9 are both perfect squares. So let's make our 2 parentheses. All right, what do I multiply to get 4a squared? Remember, I have to put the same thing in both parentheses. So that would be a 2a times 2a. 2a times 2a is 4a squared. What multiplies to be 9? 3 times 3. one parentheses has to be positive and the other one has to be negative, then this would be your final answer. All right, number 8. Even though both of these are in the front, they still have a GCF. And what's the GCF I can take out of 4 and 16? What number goes into 4? The biggest number that goes into 4 and 16? 4. Let's do that. Divide both of these by 4 first. And then I have n squared minus 4. All right, so now we're ready to break it down. So the only thing I can multiply to get n squared is n times n. And the only thing that multiplies to be 4, that has to be the same number, is 2 and 2. And with this pattern, 1 has to be plus and 1 has to be minus. So we have 4 factors.